Hello and welcome once again to our stream and what would normally be our D&D stream on this Monday night. Unfortunately, had some real world stuff come up. We are short players, so for the moment it is just Braden, Lance, and myself. Braden, Lance, and myself. Um, we're not going to jump into any part of the campaign. Lance has a couple of characters in play that we're dealing with. Some of that's going on behind the scenes. Braden is Braden and only has the one character, but he's got a couple of different things, a couple of different irons in the fire as well that we can be working through. But for tonight, we're going to shift gears a little bit and we're going to try a game called Microscope. And if you guys have never seen this game or know what this is about, it's actually quite fascinating. It's really, really interesting. It's all about creating the history of a world and doing so in a collaborative gameplay manner. We have only played this once. Or I've only played it once. Braden's only played it once. Lance hasn't
never played this game.
hasn't played it at all. So this is going to be a little bit of a learning experience for him, and hopefully we can remember. Hopefully Braden and I can remember how this goes.
I hope.
So if you're interested in how this works, definitely search it out and find it. Support the guy that wrote it. He's got one more. Do you remember the name of the other one?
I think it's Kaleidoscope?
Kaleidoscope, maybe?
I...
So Microscope, that doesn't seem right. But
yeah,
Microscope is the game that deals with broad history. There is another in a similar vein that deals with specific settlements, cities, towns.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think maybe even all the way up to countries. They're both written by the same guy, and I
should I look for his name now?
Ben Robbins, and it looks like it's published by Lame Mage Productions.
But can also be found on other.
Yeah, it can be found other places, but you can do a search for Microscope, Lame Mage Productions. Check them out.
Kingdom is the name of the other one.
Kingdom. Of course it is. Something simple. Kingdom is the name of the other game. So both of these kind of dovetail together. If you're in the position where you are wanting to build a world for a campaign, I have it on good authority from no less than Matthew Colville that when you combine Microscope with Kingdom, you get a pretty good result. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with the world and the history that we create tonight, but it's possible. It depends on how this goes tonight. It is just going to be the three of us. If you guys are watching, and at the moment I don't see anyone in the chat yet, but if you guys want to jump in and give us ideas to incorporate, we will definitely take those into account. But for the rest of it, we'll just sort of try to explain how this works as we go along and as we get to things. Before we get started tonight, I do want to do just our standard reminders. We do have a YouTube channel. You will see this video. You will see this video up on the YouTube channel, so you'll be able to go back and sort of watch through it. We'll be able to go back and pick up the history if we want to play with it later. All of the video content we do here does wind up on the YouTube channel. Sometimes it's a little delayed, and I realize that, and I'm sorry. Although I think at this point we're mostly caught up. Braden? Can you verify that for me?
You are not.
I'm not. What am I missing?
The last two.
I thought I put those up already. Huh.
No.
Could have sworn.
You are missing the one right after.
Thank you, poser.
Alma's passing, and then the one after that, and you might be missing the one where Alma had passed.
I could have sworn I had
Those are kind
uploaded.
of important.
Yeah, those are all very important. I thought I had put those up. I will correct that. If they are not on the website, or if they're not on the YouTubes, I will fix that. And I apologize for that if I find that I am not where I need to be. Sorry about that. We do also have our Discord server. Good place to go for news about changes to the schedule, microphone bumps, things like that. Go check it out. I didn't get around to actually posting that we were going to be doing something different tonight. That's on me. Mainly it was because it was a last minute decision, but we will run with that. I think that's all I really want to throw out there at the start of this. So we will instead, I'm going to take a seat over next to Lance, and we will let you guys see how this goes.
Oh boy.
All right. So, and you can come this way if you need to. There we go. All right. So, for the setup phase of this, the thing to, so this is all about creating history, and it's about creating history top down, basically. So big picture in. So obviously, the place to start is to decide what our big picture is. So what do we want this world to be? What do we want the theme for this history to be? Do you have an idea?
So what kind of scope are we on? Are we chaining ourselves only to planet side, or are we?
It is entire. I mean, it is wide open. There are no wrong answers at this point. In fact, there are very few wrong answers in this entire game.
If I understood the rules right, we just create a list of wrong answers at the beginning. As long as it's not on the list, you're good.
Right. But
Right.
That comes after the big picture. So what do we want to explore? It can be at this point literally anything. Just to give you some examples from the game, from the PDF itself. Think broadly. So an ancient empire rises and falls. That could be one theme.
Okay.
Cavemen at the dawn of time found the first civilization. Could also be a theme. Mankind leaves the sick earth behind and spreads out to the stars. Could also be a theme. So it is fairly broad. It can be just about anything. Do you have any input, any thoughts?
I think Bryden has something, actually.
Okay.
I don't know how long this will go for, so maybe we'll start small. But I was thinking.
No. Start big.
Right. No. It's big, but just on a small. The daring tales of Gerald.
Wait, Gerald the butler?
Yeah.
The driver?
Yeah.
The awesome.
As in, from his entire life story, we shall lay upon his history.
Does that work?
I mean, that is an option. Certainly.
That's an option. No,
it seems a bit confined to me, but I mean, if that's
I don't know. Do you remember Gerald?
Well,
I feel like we could do a lot with that.
That's true. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that we're going to be subdividing whatever the big picture is into smaller chunks. So, I mean, yeah, we could absolutely.
That's an idea.
Go with that as our idea.
Or we can go bigger if you want.
I mean, that's up to you guys. I'm happy with whatever.
I mean, I don't know what I'm doing, so like, I can start throwing random stuff out, but I have no idea what I'm doing.
That seems like a, I don't know, period or something. We can try something else.
Now, having said that, don't let that deter you. If your
Right.
heart is set on let's
Well, no, that was just an
live the
idea.
life of Gerald, then we can do that.
Well, depending on how it is, it could be a very short life.
I mean, he kind of reads to me like Alfred Pennybaker.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pennybaker.
That's not his name. Pennyworth.
Pennyworth. There we go. I was like,
I
wait,
got
Alfred
close.
Wait a
Pennyworth.
minute.
Alfred Pennyworth. Yeah.
Stephen says, mankind emerges from the holes in the ground dug to save them from the creatures that lived there.
That's an idea.
Sure. I'm cool with that, unless we can come
The
up with something
mole
better.
men emerge.
So Stephen, so the question I have, because it and I understand why it might be a dangling modifier, but it feels like a dangling modifier. Mankind emerges from the holes in the ground, dug, to save them. Save what? Save the holes? Save mankind?
To save them from the creatures
Or-
that lived there?
Are we saving the creatures that dug the holes from mankind?
Yeah, it's a very...
I like it. I need some clarity. If you can. Save mankind from the invaders. Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so
Okay.
mankind is coming out of whatever holes they have dug to avoid the apocalypse, is how
So-
I'm reading
Okay.
that.
The Matrix.
I mean, there are any number of worlds where that is true, but I like it, and I
Okay.
think that's a good
Cool.
place to start.
Sure, that will
Okay.
be our... I'm
So
down.
that's our theme.
Okay. Is that mankind... Our job is to save mankind from invaders. Okay.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not
It could change.
necessarily. Okay. Da, 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 da. All right. So the main history is going to be subdivided into periods. It's
Right.
each period is pretty large.
Mhm.
Probably decades or centuries. So yeah, the life of one man a little small for this game.
Yeah.
No worries. So
Wait, we are the invaders and humans are the vermin.
I thought we were everything. I thought we were
We
the
will-
entirety of
we
yeah,
are
this world.
everything.
we're pretty much everything. So we'll see how
Okay.
this goes.
Yeah.
We do, however, want to bookend our history. So we need to. Where does it start?
Right.
Where does it end?
So it sounds to me like it starts with mankind emerging from their hole.
Or going into their holes.
Or going in, yeah.
And these are like a starting period and an ending period.
Right.
So we decided that we're
Are we starting from when humans go into the ground or when they emerge from the ground?
I think either is a good starting place.
yes, and I actually kind of like the idea.
Of going into
I-
the holes?
I like the idea of symmetry,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna pitch an idea where
Are we coming out and at the end we're going back in?
No. We're going in. At some point, we come back out, and then at the very end, we go back in.
Sure.
Okay.
So I like that sort of
So-
arc symmetry, which gives me sort of rise of the idea that it's
Okay.
cyclical in nature.
What color to put this in? This is
Easy there, Wheel of Time.
Not quite to that point,
Okay.
but
So I will put down.
all right. So let's start. So for the start, put down mankind enters underground shelter.
Let's not make it that specific yet.
Okay.
Mankind enters shelter.
Okay.
I may or may not be planning on specifically saying that it can't be underground shelters.
Ah, okay.
It has to be something else.
So-
Okay, now, the other thing you'll want to do real
Oh,
quick
right.
is mark that is the start some way. There we go. And because this is a period, we
Mhm.
need to decide if this is a light period or a dark
Oh,
period.
this is a dark period.
All right,
This is
so
a dark
put
period.
in a filled in circle. Yeah, there you go.
What was that?
That's a rain alert.
Oh wow, I felt that from all the way here. That vibration.
Wait, it's a what alert?
It's a rain alert
Oh.
from the Weather Channel.
You get alerts when it's raining?
I do.
I can't decide if I would enjoy that or if it would ruin my day. Also, it seems like it's really hard to see that on that camera. Let me check the actual...
Yes, it does.
Yep, that's just a white piece of paper.
Okay.
I will. Well, I can. Give me a moment. I can fix that.
Okay.
And then put one down here for the end that says, Mankind enters shelter.
Round
Yes.
2. Okay, I'm gonna put round 2 because it's funnier that way.
Oh, we have to decide if that's light or dark, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
How symmetrical do you want this to be, Keith?
I will leave that up to you guys. Yeah, that's.
That's our end.
Is that
So,
any better?
Open the circle, but I won't fill it in yet because we haven't decided. So, I will let. Well, there actually. Actually, the pitch dark. Actually, was the best. That was probably the best.
We'll do
option.
that.
Yeah, that makes it the best. Funny enough.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, do we want Mankind Enters Shelter round 2? Do we want that to be a light thing that happens, or do we want that thing to be a dark thing that happens?
It's kind of hard to see right up at the top, but it's fine. We'll see how it goes as we add more.
What are we thinking? Is re-entering...
Keith said he wanted it to be cyclical. I say dark.
I can be okay with that.
Alright.
Okay. And so the periods will sort of do that way.
Well, we can always go that way if we need to.
Well, those are for events within each period.
Ah, okay.
So there are different sort of chunks of time, and we'll get to that. And so there are periods, there are events, and there are scenes. And so periods are the big chunks. Events are a little bit more concentrated, and then the scenes are a very specific time and place.
Okay.
So we have sort of defined our bookends for history, and that is still really, really hard to see.
Yeah.
And there's not a real good way. Let me play around with it a little bit more.
Do you still have that like light thing that you can just set up and just turn the big lights off and then just like, or no?
I do, but not
That's
not
fine.
close
We
to
can-
hand. I should have done that at the start.
That's fine. Okay.
So the next thing is to create the palette where we add or ban things that we
Add
want
or
to
band things.
that
Okay,
we want
so
to have or not have in our.
So we will pick another color. We'll go blue. So
In our thing here.
this in half. So one side will be for band and one thing will be for rules or whatever. So
Pardon me while I do a little bit of.
It's really weird why, like, I'm not sure why that's so hard to see.
probably the
Well, it's because it's on the white paper, and it's bouncing back almost directly. The light is bouncing back almost directly into the camera. So, yeah. really. Can't tell if that does
It looks
any
like it kinda helps.
better. How's that? I know it kind of
Oh,
makes the
good.
colors a little weird, but
That's fine.
we can actually read that, so we'll go with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright, so I've got one section for band and one section for rules.
Okay. So, since you sort of set our, or we kind of, Steven set our
Right.
theme, let's start with Lance, and you can add either something to the yes column or something to the no column.
Under the no column, the shelters cannot be underground.
Okay.
And so specifically, if you want, we're adding things specifically that, if it's a yes, it's something that you don't think the other players would expect to be,
Right.
but that you want to have.
So it's sort of like out of character, out of genre for
Yeah,
what
so
we're expecting?
Yeah, kind of. It's like, okay, given this particular story, we would expect these certain things, but we wouldn't necessarily. So,
Right.
in a fantasy, you would expect there to be wizards,
right.
but you maybe wouldn't necessarily expect for there to be gunslingers available.
Okay, so the yes column is like twists that we're adding.
Right.
Right.
And no
is twists that we're excluding.
Yeah, it's
Things that you'd expect that
things
you're
that would-
saying you can't do.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I think I think I want to include. So this is a yes.
Oh, the yes.
I think I want to include a set of benevolent aliens. So good aliens.
Okay. I'm gonna put in the yes column. I'm gonna put that for humans, space is available, as in like is accessible.
So
when you
have space travel.
Well, I mean the aliens can, but like I'm referring to like the humans do have access to space.
Okay.
Like we're assuming that these aliens do. I'm just putting in that humans also have access.
Fair enough. We haven't limited them yet, so
Mm-hmm. And now the chat has something. Barbarians are not dumb rage machines. They are more akin to monks who are self-aware and use their rage as a tool. So
Definitely falling into the D&D sort of genre, or pulling from the D&D genre.
so the not people who are in the shelters are monastic.
Or
Trying to see how we would.
oh, that can be something for later. That at one point we tried to insecticide the world, but it didn't work, and a bunch of people who were still living on there got very, very messed up or something. But alright, well, it's your turn to either do a yes or a no. Unless someone can figure out something.
Okay, so this could go in either, like you could phrase this to fit in either one, but the humans we're dealing with are not Homo sapiens.
Okay, so
They are humans, but they are not humans as we know them.
Oh, okay.
hope that's how you spell Homo sapien.
It's fine. As a no.
Okay.
Faster than light travel is not possible.
Ah, jeez.
FTL, not. Yeah.
All right, for some clarification here.
Okay, so DD, we are actually not playing D&D tonight. We are playing a game called
Microscope.
Microscope, and this is a collaborative history building game. So it's written by Ben Robbins. It's available from Lame Mage Productions. You can find it on a lot of different websites, but it's we didn't have enough people to do our regular D&D game, so we're doing this instead.
Okay.
No worries, no worries. We went through all the explanation at the top, and a lot of people are gonna have to be catching up as we go. But that's
All
fine.
right.
So Keith, you said no FTL, but I need a clarification.
Yeah.
What, like, no FT? So, for example, wormholes. Are we saying that that's not a like you can't? There's no such. You can't travel through a wormhole. When you say no FTL,
I mean no FTL.
no FTL.
No FTL.
I'm gonna put one in the band. I'm gonna say no ballistic weapons.
Okay, I'm gonna need some more clarification again. When you say ballistic, I assume you mean firearms.
Right.
So crossbow's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's be more specific. Let's say no firearms.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. So, like, magnetically propelled projectiles, yay, nay.
Yay. When I mean like ballistic, I mean
So
like
no
like
gunpowder,
firearms, yeah.
firearm.
So no
technology.
no firearms, but laser weapons are still fine.
Yep.
Right.
no firearms. I'm just gonna put ballistic. Just as a.
That's fine. I just needed a clarification
Right,
of
yeah.
like, what does that mean? Oh, it's my turn.
It is. So you can put either a yes or a no.
Do I have anything I really want to have happen?
Yeah, you can't ban a
Yeah,
ghost, right?
so DD, I actually was turned on to this game by Matt Colville. He recommends this for building out the history of a world.
Mhm.
And there's a companion game written by the same guy. It's called, what did we decide, Kingdom?
Kingdom.
That focuses more specifically on like a community or a kingdom or a city or a town.
Yes.
And between the two, you can actually build out a campaign setting quite nicely.
No microprocessors.
Ooh.
So computers, you're stuck in the 50s era of
Ooh.
yeah.
Ooh, like tubes and mechanical.
Vacuum tubes is the best you get.
Oh.
It's feeling a lot like Fallout at the moment.
You know, you're not.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
You're not wrong.
Heath, do you have a yes or a no? It's going very steampunk at this point.
Um.
Uh-oh.
In the yes column,
Okay.
Oh boy.
the planet is not Earth.
Okay.
Now think about that for a second. The planet is not Earth. There is no FTL.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Huh. Ooh. There's so many options.
If you don't have an idea, you can always feel free to not add anything, and that will bring our palette building kind of to a close once it gets back around.
Not so many ideas. I'm just kind of stuck at the moment. Oh, I've got one. Main power source is solar. Anyone else?
I think I'm good.
One more thing in the band section would round this out pretty nicely. 5 and 5.
This won't go in the band section, but I can think of only one other thing.
Okay.
The moon is within the atmosphere.
Ooh.
Ooh. Ooh. How does that work?
I don't know. Have fun figuring that out.
Ooh. Okay. So that's
And then I got one more that I just thought of. No land vehicles.
Okay, I'm gonna need some clarification. When you say land vehicles,
Right.
like no wagons,
No wagons.
no hand carts,
No hand carts.
no wheels of any kind.
No wheels.
So no water wheels.
Well, water wheels is different from than just like basic wheels. No transportation wheels.
Okay. So now, but like loading up a horse with stuff.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm just gonna put wheels. Okay. I think we've got our list.
That is
Unless
our
anyone-
palette. So fascinating.
Fascinating.
So to recap for anyone who may have joined the chat and wasn't here for all of them. So in the yeses column, these are things that are true about this world. There are benevolent aliens. Humans have stellar technology, so like they can travel in space. They are not Homo sapiens. The planet is not Earth. The main power source is solar power, and the moon is within the atmosphere.
I like that last one.
In the no category, the shelters therein are not underground. There is no faster than light travel. There are no firearms. There are no microprocessors, and there are no land vehicles. So no wheels.
And
For
VB,
transportation.
yes, hovercrafts are available.
So it's almost like, oh wow, it's like it's almost like there are no wheels because they've moved past them,
Or because it never made sense to have them.
True.
or that.
Or that could come into play another thing, like the alien. Maybe it's like
We'll
Tremors.
Wheels.
Okay, so then we have arrived at the end of our palette.
We have arrived at the end of our palette. Group decisions are now over.
Okay.
From now on, each player makes decisions individually
All right.
and has vast power to shape history. So each player now gets to add more detail to the history, creating either a new period or event. Players can go in any order that they want. So a period would go between our two existing periods, sort of at
Right.
this upper level.
Mm-hmm.
Periods, again, just as a reminder, are the largest chunks of history that we're dealing with. At decades to centuries, long time, but they are tied together by a specific theme.
Right.
Events are specific things that happen within that period. So if you want to add an event, we'll start moving this way.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it seems to me, I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there,
Okay.
that if we've got a period where mankind has entered shelters,
Mm-hmm.
We have to have one
And-
where they come out.
mankind
Presumably.
re-enters shelters, presumably there is at least one period in here where they come out of the shelters.
All right.
So we're going to add that there.
So mankind leaves shelters.
Mankind leaves shelters, and as one would expect,
This is light.
this is a light period in the history of our world.
Okay.
I believe it's your turn.
Oh, what am I doing?
I mean,
Or-
you can go in. I mean, if you've got,
I'm
if
saying
you've got
it's
something.
Braden's
Okay, so it's either I have to put either a period or
Or an event.
an event. Okay. I think I'll do an event. I'm just gonna cut this one in half just to make gives a little more space. So,
Okay.
I imagine that our invaders were not too happy when we exited the shelter. So I imagine there was the like a war. So
Okay.
now to think of what to call this war. Okay. What to call it? Sorry, I'm trying to think of like a.
While you're
Cool.
thinking, will you toss me the blue?
I will.
That'll be mine.
Ooh, I'm gonna call it the Dogfight Wars. And then I'm gonna say that this was a dark period.
Do you do that with events?
Yes.
You do.
Everything.
And I'm gonna put it right here because that seems like a good spot where
Okay.
a war would happen.
Okay.
So I'm going to add another period after mankind leaves their shelter.
Okay. I'm just gonna take a couple of these and half them. And what is it gonna be called?
So in this period, a third party of invaders arrives.
Ooh.
And I'm going to say that that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That,
So, right here.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yep.
all right.
Interesting.
All right. So that's our first pass, and we've all added something to it.
Mhm.
This is kind of what we have. We have 4 distinct periods. We may be able to add more. In fact, we probably will add more later. We'll
Mhm.
see. We have a single event.
Which is the dog.
The dog fight wars. So we'll get to explore that a little bit further down the line.
Yes.
But now we get into actually playing the game. So this was all just
Right.
set up. This
Mhm.
was all getting started, figuring out what our scope was going to
There's
be.
a good couple of smaller ones. I'll do this.
So, we have to decide which player will start.
Ooh. Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, I didn't
I-
see that
I like
either.
this.
I like that.
We're adding that.
Right. Here, take this one and put it
Yeah.
down, and then we'll.
So,
I need a
so Dee Dee,
big
where
one
did
for
where did
period.
you want that?
Is that a period or is that
It looks like a.
Or is
Dark,
that an
he says
event?
dark period. So I'm assuming it is a period.
Okay.
It is a period.
So, kind of run that out of space for the periods, but that's
Mhm.
okay.
We can always just move it down if we want.
Yeah. Right after they come out, and
Alright,
it is a
so-
period. Okay. So right after they come out, but before the third party arrives.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Which would greatly affect our solar power.
Okay. So
And then just go back.
yeah. Yeah. That'll give us a little bit more room here.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So we've already
If it
done.
changes, we can always just cut in half and move it over.
So now we have to decide which player will start. That person becomes the first lens. So it probably should be either you or me, Braden, because we have played it before, even
Yeah.
though
I'll make my.
we are far from experts.
True. Absolutely.
Give the lens a large invisible object to make sure everyone knows who that is. Yeah, that works.
That works.
It's not large, but it is visible. So I'm going to set that out there for me. That is for me,
Yes.
and we'll move it over to other people as required. So for this phase, the focus in this, or the lens, in this case, that's going to be me,
Mm-hmm.
declares the focus. So one part of the history that I want to explore. We do not have to go in chronological order. You can jump around. In fact, we probably will jump around. Then we make history. So each player, once the focus is determined, each player will create either a period, an event, or a scene. The lens will go first, and then it will go around the table to the left. What you create must relate to the current focus, so the current question. The lens can choose to create two things so long as they are nested inside each other. So if I create a period, I could then create an event inside that period,
Right.
or I could create an event and create a scene within that event. But I can't create two periods, and I can't create a period and an event in a different period. So they've got to be nested together.
Okay.
So this gives the lens more power to get the focus going. Once it comes back around to the lens, I would get to go again and add another period, event, or scene, or two if I nested them together, just so that the lens can have the last word on that focus.
Right. What is a scene?
A scene is where we role play out something that has happened in history.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, that's where sort of the role play element comes in. Okay. After all the players have addressed the focus, we'll take a step back and examine legacies, which are elements of the history we want to remember to explore later on.
Okay.
So the player to the right of the lens picks something from play during this last focus and makes it a legacy. The same player then creates an event or a dictated scene, and we'll get to the difference between just a regular scene and a dictated scene later, that relates to one of the legacies, either the one they just created or one that is already in play. Then after that, the player on the left then becomes the new lens, and we repeat. And we can do that as long as we want to. There is no set time or set number of rounds or anything like that.
Here comes the next 5 hours.
To be fair, we want this to be a normal length stream, so we'll probably cut it off at sometime around when we normally would, and we'll give a warning that the last round is happening so that everyone knows that. All right. So picking a focus, play can jump forward or backwards in time, all across the history. Yep. Okay.
Alright, Keith. I'll set the event.
Right. So I am going to set the focus as the arrival of humanity on their new world.
Okay.
And to sort of get the ball rolling on that, I'm going to create the event. First landing. Which is talking, so first landing, the interstellar voyage, the exodus, as it were, from the old world to the new, has reached maybe not its intended end, but an end, and a habitable planet has been found, and the first batch of settlers have been sent down to land, and their ship lands on this new world.
Okay.
So that's our focus, and in service of that, I'm going to create the first landing, and that is definitely a hopeful event. And it's going to fall within this period here.
Okay.
So now you have to, or you can do 2.
Can do 2,
Don't
and I'm
have to,
going to
okay.
choose not to at this point. So the first landing, the first shuttle down from the fleet arrives on a broad plain. It's like the stories of the world that was. It's sort of waving grass analogs. The sky is a brilliant shade of purple. So whatever is happening to scatter light is not what the stories talk about, but the sky is bright and clear and cloud free, and the ship comes in, settles, and there's a hiss of escaping gases. The ramp comes down, and the first colonists set foot on the new world.
Right. Okay. Huh. No, I think another one that is just as important as the first landing is the first contact with the new aliens. So.
Okay, so that's part of the
Right.
idea of them arriving on this new world then?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Because I'm assuming if something comes from the sky, surely they will ask. So, I feel weirdly that was probably a light.
Okay.
So it's probably right here on the timeline.
Okay, so you're saying this is then the different period then?
Oh no, over. Yeah,
Okay,
right.
okay.
Okay, then yeah, right there.
Gotcha.
So what happens during this event?
We come in contact with the new aliens. So then I can do 2, right?
No. You only get to do 1.
Yeah, the lens is the only one that gets to do more than
Okay, yeah. So that's what happens. We come in contact with the aliens.
Do the aliens live on this planet?
I assume they would, yeah. Because that's kind of the scope we're going for. So yes, they do live on this planet.
Okay. Will you hand me one of the event cards? Alright, so my event is that shortly after arriving and beginning to settle this new planet, the humans realize that there is another group of spacefaring something or other that is coming to this same planet. And that is not a good thing, and this is where they begin to make their plans to create a shelter to protect themselves from the new arrivals.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right.
Okay, so Okay. Some interesting things here. There's a number of different ways that different things I kind of want to look a little bit deeper into.
Yeah.
I almost want to. I almost want to look at a scene with the first contact.
Okay.
So for a scene, pardon me while I flip over to it. So scenes are the smallest unit of the history. They show us exactly what happens at a specific place, at a specific time, with specific people. They're also different because instead of creating them unilaterally, just one of us, all of the players join in and role play to determine what happens. To create a scene, you first pose a question, something you want to find out about the history. So, in this case, since I'm talking about first contact, I kind of want to know how first contact took place. So what was it like? What was the what was the reactions on both sides? What was the first impressions? Things like that.
Okay.
Okay. So, state the question. So, how first contact took place. We set the stage. Make sure that So for setting the stage. So when does it happen? It's during the first contact. We know that humanity has been on a trek through the stars to find a new place to live, and they've arrived at this planet and have found it inhabited. We know later that there will be another set of invaders coming in, but that hasn't happened yet, and at this point they don't know about them because that specifically says that they were spotted.
Yep.
So at the moment, this looming threat is an unknown.
So we pick characters to role play for a quick scene and then go from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to set the when and where. I actually think that first contact didn't happen right away. That it took several months before the groups interacted. So, several months.
Into colonization.
But it happened right around where humanity landed.
Right. So,
Okay. So so the person making the scene, and that's me, can specify one or two characters someone must play in the scene, or I can also name one or two characters that nobody can play in the scene.
Right.
So
I can do the alien if you want.
so it's not going. So I'm going to ban outright any of the adult aliens.
Okay. Okay.
And I think someone has to play maybe one of the younger humanity children
Of course.
to make this.
It's like Pocahontas, but with aliens.
It's not Pocahontas. Those were adults. Ish. I mean,
Depends on your definition of the word
Disney
adult.
version was.
Yeah, no, I'm eating.
Yeah, I mean, there are tropes here,
Yeah.
sure, at work.
Okay.
So which character are you gonna be, Keith?
Who are you gonna be, Keith?
Actually, you start. And the picks go around that way.
I will be the human child.
I will be the alien child,
All
and
right.
Keith will be the man with the gun.
No. I will be an engineer off of one of the ships.
Okay.
So the goal is to answer the question.
How the first contact?
How first contact took place. So each player states one thing that their character is thinking about the upcoming scene.
Mm-hmm.
Could reveal what you're going to do or highlight what your character expects to happen. They're a good way to let other players sort of have a hint about where you want the scene to go. Don't reveal anything that answers the question before it even starts. You can hint or stack the deck, but don't give a definite answer. Your thoughts can be about other players' characters, but you're only saying what your character thinks or believes. The other player gets to say what their character really did or is doing. Okay, so the player making the scene can choose to say who is present when it starts. The players can have other characters enter the scene whenever they want. So we'll start here, and you'll reveal a thought, and then you'll reveal a thought, then I'll reveal a thought, and then I'll say who's starting the scene and how it starts.
Does this thought have to be before the chronologically? What is this thought from?
It does
Any
not say.
part? Okay. All right. My thought is, my family has a dog.
Okay.
Do with that what you will.
Okay.
I have to hunt something.
Okay. When did I become the one that has to look out for the kids?
Okay.
So I suppose we can start off with. We'll start off with you and I.
Okay.
Sort of. Sort of around.
I'm the alien.
Oh, you are the alien.
No,
You and
sir,
I-
you've captured me.
So I forgot my,
No, you're,
my
no,
mistake.
you're fine.
Okay. I have to remember that. So we're playing the scene out where first contact takes place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an engineer who, for whatever reason, has been given the task of watching out for
Well, you're not the engineer anymore.
kids. Well, yeah, okay, I was an engineer.
He could be engineering things on the ground.
Fair.
Sure. So. So it's a bright, sunny day, and we are on the edges of the village, and I'm building sort of a fenced-in area around your family's home, mainly for your dog.
Cool.
All right.
Here we go.
So what is your character's name?
Kyle.
Kyle. Okay.
Of course, it's a Kyle.
All right. Probably a Sammy. Sammy Marsden. So you might call him Mr. Marsden.
Okay.
Or not. It's entirely up to you. So he is. I'm there.
What kind of dog is it?
Yeah. What kind of dog is it?
It's a lab.
Okay. Okay. So during the scene, everyone should be trying to answer the question.
How?
So how first contact took place.
Okay.
The scene. So the scene ends when the players know the answer to the question.
Okay.
After it's over, you'll look at what happened and decide whether it was light or dark. We can't change the future.
Right.
What you see is what you get. So if you want to describe something about the world, just describe it. You can make up anything you want this way. You must also describe your character reacting to what he or she perceives. You're role-playing the moment, not just narrating the story. So I'm there. I'm building this fence, and you and your dog sort of come out and are playing in the backyard. It is a beautiful day, sunny day. The wind is sort of rustling in the grasses, and I'm going to look over at you and just say hi and go back to my work on the fence.
Hey, Mr. Marston.
How you doing there, Kyle?
No, my mom told me I had to go outside. She said I needed fresh air.
You know, that's a fair point. Yeah, we've been cooped up on those ships for so long.
I don't think it's a fair point. I like it much better inside.
Believe me, once you've gotten used to it, being outside is a lot more fun.
You say so.
So there is, obviously, since I'm working on the fence, there is a gap
Mm-hmm.
there. And what is your dog's name?
Spot.
Well, okay, so your lab Spot, which has no spots,
Exactly.
decides
I named it.
decides that getting out of the fence is
Mhm.
probably a lot of fun, and so
Of course.
while we are talking, he takes off out
Okay.
through a gap in the fence, and we're gonna have to chase after him now, aren't we?
Yeah, I guess. At least it'll get us fresh air, right? We can enjoy being outside.
You're a smart aleck kid. I like that. Let's go. Come on. And so we'll take off down the road. Actually, there's not a road. I don't know why I said that. We'll
There
take
could
out.
be a footpath, an animal path.
We'll take out across the plains there, watching your dog and running, chasing after him, calling after him. Come here, Spot. And I can't whistle. But Sammy can, and he's whistling after Spot. Come here, Spot. Get back here.
I keep trying to throw things to get Spot to come get them. That usually works.
It's not working today.
Yeah, you want to know what happens after a while when you round a
Yeah.
corner?
Yep.
Yeah.
You see a tiny version. We haven't established what the aliens
Nope.
are, so you see what a small version of this tiny alien trying to beat the head of this dog in, but the dog keeps like grabbing it and playing tug of war, and I'm having a hard time trying to kill this thing for food. So
So as we come around the corner and see that, I'm just going to kind of put my arm out and hold you back. And what do you look like?
how are we establishing what the aliens look like?
Yeah,
or at least the first ones.
Okay. Let's have them be. Let's have them be like Mothmen, like moths, like humanoid moths with like wings and all that kind of stuff. He's this tiny one trying to beat this thing in for food.
And so Spot is just sitting there grabbing a hold of the branch and playing tug of war, obviously having a good time, tail wagging. This is not a dangerous situation for this dog.
It's like a giant moth. It's like maybe 3 feet tall, but it is hovering a little bit, and it's trying with its little tiny things to like kill this thing.
Hey, Spot.
Whoa! What is that?
I don't know.
Oh, it looks cool.
Bye, and it'll
Don't-
start to run.
Huh.
Spot's not gonna like that.
No.
Does Spot go for it?
No, Spot's been playing tug of war and now he's running away.
Let go of my spear.
So is he following?
I would assume so. I would assume Spot is continuing to chase you.
Which means we're gonna have to run after you. Spot, come over here. Get over here.
I like this idea, so I'm gonna try and run with it a little bit. You see, like, maybe not easily to spot, but you see right where the moon is super close to the Earth, there's a tower that connects the land to the moon, and it's flying in that direction.
Space elevator. We have a space elevator now.
Or just a tower.
Okay.
Just like this weird from the moon connecting to the land sort of thing.
Okay. So we're, of course, seeing this. Sammy is freaking out even more. Spot, get over here!
At this
Let-
point,
let
I'll
it
just
go.
let him have
Stop
my
it.
spear and just go.
So is Spot still chasing him? Does he? Now that he's got the spear.
If Spot got the spear, then I think Spot's good. Spot will
Okay.
stop.
So we'll make it up to the dog. Sort of grab the spear from him, drop it, pet him and watch the little moth child go. Okay, we need to go back and we need to tell people about this. We need to tell the council about this.
Yeah, there's really cool moth things here.
Yeah, and I'm sort of looking down at this spear in my hand, and I'm like, yeah.
They make tools.
And that actually,
Yep.
that is our
They
first
make tools. Yes,
contact.
we make a stick with a pointy end. So I think that would.
Light or dark?
For me, it's a little bit of both, but it can't
I
be.
would say that I would agree, but I would say since the event is listed as light, we
Yeah.
would call this light.
I think so.
Because I'm with you. It could go either way.
Mhm.
It's definitely one of those things. It's like,
But I guess it would be light in the essence of no one got hurt.
right. We'll just do
The alien was not as aggressive. So
as it could have.
as it could have been.
All right, so at this point, sort of coming out of the scene, we've got
So
it all
I was
finished.
going for like the Mothman or like the butterfly things from Stellaris.
Yep.
You know, just like super like relatively small little
Mhm.
pincers, sort of that sort of thing. So, all right. Mothmen that worship the moon.
Come on. Where did it go? Ending scenes. So we know the answer to the question. We've sort of judged the tone, that it was
Yep.
a light tone.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, so the answer to our question is how it took place. Moth child tried to hunt dog. Ran away when confronted.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, and we'll just do that. Sorry.
All right.
So legacies are, and so at this point we need to choose a legacy, and that's going to be you.
Right.
Legacies are common threads that may stretch through time and influence history. It can take many forms: a person, an object, a person, a place, a bloodline, an organization,
No.
even a
However fun that would
philosophical
be.
idea. You make legacies to identify things that you think are interesting and want to keep in the spotlight. Legacies are explored during a special phase of play between one focus and the next.
Okay.
Because you aren't restricted by a focus during the legacy phase, it's a broad opportunity to explore something that interests you. A legacy can also be brought into, just like anything in the history, a legacy can also be brought into play or explored during normal play.
Okay.
So the player to the right of the lens looks back over what happened during this focus, and picks something to be a legacy. It has to be something that appeared in play this round, either for the first time or reappearing from earlier in the game. You're not making something new, just singling out something already in the history. Choose something you are interested in and want to explore more. It has to be something specific from the history, not a broad concept or idea.
Okay.
Oh, this is luckily really easy. Moon Tower.
Moon Tower.
Moon Tower.
Moon Tower.
Okay.
Moon Tower. Do we need to write that down?
So the same player picks a legacy and makes an event or dedicated scene about it, not a period
An
or
event
place.
or a dedicated scene.
Not a dictated scene.
Oh,
sorry.
What's a dictated scene?
It's basically you just saying straight out what happened. So you're dictating it. So it's useful when you want total control over what happens. It's the same idea. State the question, decide where it happens in the history, review what we already know, and then you just narrate the answer to the question.
Okay.
So you can do that, or you can do an event. So you can do either an event or a dedicated scene. Dictated is, I said
Dedicated.
dedicated.
No, it's fine. I
can't
have a problem
talk
with words
tonight.
either.
So a dictated scene or an event.
All right. So my question is, what is the Moon Tower? And I'm going to say that this happens after, so it is months after first contact. And humans have developed a way to communicate with the moth people.
Okay.
And it is a team of human engineers
Okay.
being brought to the Moon Tower.
All right. So how does that play out?
So, how that plays out. This group of... It's actually mostly younger engineers who are... They were deemed less important for getting like the critical infrastructure built up.
Okay.
So they go off with the moth people, and the moth people take them to the Moon Tower, right? Which is this giant spire that reaches from the ground up through the atmosphere onto the moon.
Well, also the moon is in the atmosphere as well, so it's not that far.
Well,
Depending on how far.
I mean,
It's
depends on
placed.
scale, right? I
Depends
could
on
I could
scale,
drop you from anywhere in the atmosphere almost. Like, you could still be in the atmosphere, and I could drop you, and you could die.
right.
So the moth people take them in and begin showing them around, and as they enter, it looks, the moth people have decorated the inside of this structure. It has multiple levels, and they're all sort of concentric rings, and they have decorated it with shrines and other things worshipping the moon.
Okay.
And the engineers don't really pay that much attention to the shrines, because the thing that really interests them is that in the very center there is this huge conflux, and they can see, it's made of some sort of transparent material, and they can see energy being transferred up and down the spire, up to the moon, and back down from it and into the ground.
Oh.
and then back up and into the moon, and back down. And it
So with
happens.
that, does that go with like the main power source is solar? They're using the moon as like a giant solar what is it?
Solar battery?
Solar battery.
Maybe.
Is that what they're doing?
I don't know. Do we have to? Oh, because yeah, my question is, what is the moon tower? So yes, I'm gonna go with that because I like that idea.
Okay.
So this is the moment where, when the engineers see this, they begin. They're like, holy crap, what is this? We have to get more people in here. We have to start studying this. And they eventually discover that on the moon, because it's within the atmosphere, there are plants that grow that harvest, that essentially act as batteries. And at some point, someone built this apparatus that harvests energy from those plants.
From inorganic material?
Yep, and funnels it back down into somewhere where it stores, and it's basically underneath the moon tower is this giant battery.
That's cool.
Alright.
Very much Tower of Babel, just building to the moon.
Okay.
That's cool.
And I'm gonna call that a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just put that under first contact.
Yep.
Okay.
Alright, so at this point, it moves around to Brayden.
Okay.
You are now the lens. You are the one to determine what the focus is.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay. So I think I want to do the ramification of gravity increasing from the moon. Just like what the ramifications of that is.
Okay.
So. Where would be a good place to start with that? A good event to have happened around that time would probably be the destruction of the moon tower.
So our focus, Keith, is the ramifications of gravity increasing.
Okay.
And the event that Brayden is adding is that the moon tower breaks.
Ooh, okay.
The destruction of the moon tower, because that was, since gravity is increasing from the moon, which the first, actually, I have no idea how gravity works. Is gravity based on the moon? I don't care. So yeah, the destruction of the moon tower is probably a bad thing because. So. That was the ramifications of the gravity increasing from the moon.
Cool. Do you want to add a scene?
I do actually. I'm gonna do
So figure out what your question is.
I mean, I don't know if I really want to think too hard about the ramifications of having a moon in your atmosphere and what that does.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it's linked
Yep.
to the planet,
Yeah.
and to be fair,
We did not say how big the moon is either.
right, and our sort of idea is that the moon is this big in proportion to its planet, but
It doesn't have to be.
our moon is odd in that very few moons are as big proportionally as Luna is to Earth.
Although, presumably, as if the moon moves closer, you would feel a stronger gravitational pull
True.
from it, because our moon is what drives tides, and that's how that works.
True.
Alright, so I've put down planetary consensus on what to do to solve the issue. How?
Okay, so the question is.
So for the planetary consensus of
So the question is what.
what to do to solve this issue, how?
Okay, so what. So the question is, what do the citizens of the planet?
Mhm. And at this
Come
point,
up
that
with-
What
includes
does the planetary
them-
council figure
yeah.
out?
Okay.
That's why I put the planetary consensus. So
Okay.
the moth people and the humans at this point.
Actually, at this point, there
Well,
would be a.
Yeah, that
We don't
Oh,
know.
that's
There
true.
is a third party at play that
That's
we
true.
don't know anything about, except that they're around, and that's not a good thing.
and that we fought a war with them, and that also wasn't a good thing.
True. So would they get a say in this?
I don't know, would they?
I don't know.
This is your scene.
Yeah.
You get to ban or include characters.
Yeah. Alright. So for the scene, I'll play Eclipse, the voice of the moon for
Okay.
the moth people. I think it would be funny if the engineer Sammy came back. Or not necessarily. I guess not necessarily.
Hey, we don't know what kind of technology they have.
That's true.
I think it would be funny if Sammy's ancestor, or not ancestor, descendant shows up.
Yeah, or the human side of the consensus, or whatever we're calling humans, because we haven't decided that yet. And I suppose we'll have you will play the spotted invaders as their third party need to be light powered robots made from fluorescent tubes. The irony of light bulbs chasing down moths down the path just tickles me. Okay. So
Okay.
so we need to come up with a thought, right? A thought each.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think it has to start with me.
And goes this way. So.
Yeah, I don't trust these lizard people.
Well, it made my job easier. Had the humans not tried to weaponize the moon tower, we would not have had to interfere with the moon's orbit.
How are we gonna save the Mothman's planet?
All right.
We open up in maybe like a large amphitheater outside, but with humans, Mothman, and a small congregation of the lizard folk. We will come to order now. I will hear any ideas on what we could do to solve this issue.
So just for clarity, the
Sure.
tower itself has been broken.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Okay.
assuming gravity has increased from
When is this scene taking place? Is it taking place
Uh,
before or after the destruction of the moon tower?
after,
Okay.
because
Okay. So the tower has been
the tower has been
broken. Um,
anyone, really, any answer would greatly be appreciated. Please.
Well, I think because I think since you broke it, you guys should do something to fix it.
Well, maybe since we weren't the ones who decided to weaponize it.
We weren't weaponizing it. You just thought we were. We were studying it. We were trying to learn from it. We were trying to make our own spaceships, and we would have shared the technology, by the by.
Sure.
We've shared before. Meanwhile, you guys are sitting up there. I mean, you were around this tower for eons before we got here. What do you know about it? I mean, it's so far beyond our technology. What can you tell us?
Our ancestors built it long ago. There wasn't a reason to figure anything out. It was perfected until the gravity changed.
And I don't suppose you have any of those records that we could look at to know how to fix this?
Maybe.
Well, where would those be?
Probably on the moon.
Of course.
We propose what we have already said, that we consolidate resources into one large metropolis, and that we use what remaining land we have to provide resources for those who are chosen to live there.
And who chooses who gets to live there? Who chooses who dies?
Each ruler is allotted a population limit from which to choose of their own accord.
Okay.
Okay. Great
But
talk.
that's not fixing the problem. That's not. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm interested in is why that bloody moon got so heavy in the first place. It didn't do that until the tower was broken. Which means, by the by, and I'm not pointing fingers, except I kind of am, it means that this whole disaster is your fault.
You have no proof of that.
You broke the tower, right?
We assaulted your weapon, and in
Not a
doing
weapon.
so, your moon behaved strangely.
Not
Our
weapon.
astrographers cannot explain the change.
Not our
Perhaps
weapon,
you
not
should
our
be looking
moon.
at the moths and what they might have done to their moon.
You know, these people have only ever been helpful and kind to us since our people arrived. So, given that,
Search their records for answers. We can't explain it any more than you can.
no, I would like to get a look at those records to see if there's any way that we can repair what's been done.
Okay. They're on the moon, so can someone give us a ride there?
We haven't had a working shuttle in about 2 decades, but I could probably get something working.
Okay. So we'll send a team to look through the catacombs and find records and blueprints or whatever.
Time passes at this point.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's going to take probably 6 months to get the shuttle back up and running.
Yep.
During which time things go
Get worse.
they get a lot worse. Yes, let's say.
Yep.
So we'll pick back up about 6 weeks later.
Okay. We arrive at the catacombs.
Okay.
Ah, I found the blueprints right here.
Yeah, you're gonna have to translate these for me.
Oh, right. The translation is made.
We've learned to speak with you. Haven't learned the written language yet.
Right.
That's what happens when you write in spirals.
Exactly.
Okay. So, from what I've read, okay. I got it. Oh, right. You can't read. We will need to, I will have to have some discussions with my people in order to fix the tower.
Why?
Oh, a lot. Well, the origin it's made from our bodies.
Okay.
Are you implying that it is organic?
Yes.
Huh.
How do you think organic plant power can get from the moon to the land?
Huh.
So I'm gonna have to talk to some people and probably get a couple of the elderly. But other than that, yes, it can be fixed, which should hopefully fix everything.
Huh. That is way outside my wheelhouse.
Okay. Okay. I think that's it.
So
Is
what
that
was
an
the
answer to the question?
On what to do to solve the issue and how.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is uh-huh. Okay, so we've established there's still a little bit of animosity here,
Mhm.
although the fact that we're even on speaking terms tells me it's
interesting.
not
So,
as deeply a dark divide as all
I
of
have
that.
ideas on how
So
that
how do I put this? For
I'm gonna say that's a very dark,
Yeah.
dark.
And do I write how we solve the issue?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah. You should check chat.
Moth population. Ooh, do we want to say drastically cut or yeah?
I'd say so.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna need 100 kilometers worth of dead bodies.
Yep.
Essentially.
Moth population drastically cut to fix tower.
Oof.
So there we go. That's that question.
Okay, so that was your scene
That
for
was-
for the focus, and the focus is on
The ramifications.
the ramifications of the tower
Mhm.
being broken.
You just put ramification.
So, oof, that got dark in a hurry. But
Yep.
I mean, it is a dark
It
period.
is a dark period.
So the next event or scene goes to
event
you.
card.
Oof.
Yeah, as soon as I was just like, how does the tower get fixed? And I was just like, well, we came up with the thing that inorganic material is made to power it because of the moon tower legacy. So I feel that works out quite well with that it's built upon the dead carcasses of.
It's dark, man.
I know it's dark, but
That's okay. That's part of it.
ooh.
So, while construction is made to repair the moon tower,
Mm-hmm.
the increasing gravitational pull of the moon causes 80% of the land, the world, to be covered in water.
Ooh. Because that would happen. Okay.
Oh, I should probably clarify. So I'm imagining this as like, it's very shallow, but it covers all of that, and that is your ocean. So the saline content is enough that not only can you not really do a whole lot with that water, but the land it is covering
Mm-hmm.
is not going to be usable
I also
for generations afterwards.
imagine the moon tower is probably built upon the highest point.
Yeah, would just
Probably.
about have to be.
Yeah.
All right.
Is there any light at the end of the tunnel, Keith?
Well, I'm actually gonna go back
Oh, okay.
because the tower has to be broken.
Yep.
True.
So,
So you're gonna go back to how. it was
So I'm
broken.
gonna go back to how it was broken.
We seem to have a beginning, middle, end, as well as beginning, middle, end on that side as well. Yeah, I think one day we need to make a D&D campaign that revolves around us playing this game to fully get a cool world. Alright, so what do we got?
So there's there have been spies there have been spies from the Lizard Empire wandering around, keeping an eye on the moths and the humans. And one fateful night, one of these saboteurs manages to invade the moon tower and sets off essentially a kamikaze bomb at the base of it.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that falls under the gravity increases or the mankind leaves shelter? Because I kind of feel like since the destruction of the moon tower is over here, and given the role, like the scene that we played through, I almost wonder if this wouldn't be towards the end of this period.
Well, that's a
Could be wrong.
possibility. I mean, it kind
It's
of
wherever you want. It's just the
it
thought. I
kind
had.
of goes either.
Also, it doesn't mean
Either
that
way.
the war ended here.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
I just-
so. And honestly, my first thought was to put it sort of at the end of that
Yeah.
period. So
That would be my.
So I'm
Insight.
okay with
Go
this.
for it. Okay.
I'm okay with that. Oh. Excuse me, I have to stand up for a little bit.
Oh, that's fair. So then,
You get the last say.
I get the last say.
The last say of this focus.
I get to put one more down. Okay.
Mhm.
Did you?
Um.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did the 80% of the world is covered in water.
Well, I will say, just to round out the end, I'll just put him in saying that the tower has been fixed. And like, $75% of the moth population was used.
You know, that's not a bad addendum, DD.
Hmm?
And that might be something that we explore later. So
True.
we'll keep that in mind.
So the tower fixed, 75% of the population was used, but the moths care more about fixing the tower than populative ideals. They're very radical. So, okay. And then I
Right.
believe
Keith chooses a legacy.
chooses a legacy.
I will. Okay.
You do that while I will make some more event halvesies.
Okay. Okay, so we mentioned this idea of the lunar catacombs
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
and how that's where the plans for the tower were kept.
True.
So those aren't the only historical documents that appear in the
Ooh.
catacombs.
So like the true history of the true archives.
So yeah, so the question is, what other documents exist in the lunar catacombs?
Okay. Interesting.
So
And this one needs to be dictated, or
yeah, so this is going to be a dictated scene. After the emissaries from the three races have been to the facility and they've retrieved what they were looking for, the plans for the tower and the idea for how to fix it and how to get the moon stabilized and perhaps gravity stabilized as well. They take they take the newfound knowledge back with them to their spaceship. As they're leaving, they do not notice that there is this old caretaker moth who is sort of frail, almost desiccated looking, but still able to move around, who sort of has been watching them unawares this whole time. And they leave, and he turns and he walks back down the rows upon rows of documents until he comes to this panel, this central panel. It's not lit up. It's not powered at the moment because the tower is, is what it is. Yes, there's a little bit of power being generated by the moon, but it was never to be used on the moon.
Right.
Sort of one of those generated, passed down to control structures and back. But on this panel, there's, in the swirling script of the moth people, there's a button that says docking release.
Cool.
And he just sort of peers at it and then disappears into the bowels of the moon.
Interesting. And I believe it's your turn. So what period of history are we looking more into?
Nope, I'm adding a new period.
You're adding a new period?
I'm adding a new period.
Okay. So, where are you planning on putting it?
It is going to go right in between the third-party invaders arrive and mankind enters their shelter.
So, we'll do this real quick. This will go there, that'll go there, and then let's just bring all of this up. So we can just be like, we'll just go like one, we'll just do like that, just so we can get a lot more in. This will go right here. That goes there. And that one goes there, and then that'll go there, and then we'll try and fit as much as we can.
Okay. So the new period I am adding is called the resource drought.
Ooh.
Do I need to give do I just leave it at that, or?
I mean, tell us what you want to tell us.
Okay. So, although a lot of things were done to restore the planet to what it once was, especially with the gravity changing and just in the life cycle of this planet, it is nearing its end. There is a severe shortage of resources that is having difficulty. Like, there's not enough to support all four. Actually, all three, but the Mothmen are not around anymore, of the races that are on the planet.
Interesting that the Mothmen are gone.
Hand me an event.
Oh my gosh, did they suck all of the resources onto the moon and just leave?
That is not for me to say.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
So what do we got?
They're not moths, they're locusts.
And this is a
So,
good thing.
I am adding an event to this
The
period.
Tripart pack.
The Tripart Pact is signed.
Okay.
So an agreement is signed between all three of the races that two of them will enter into shelters in orbit and will not be on the planet. And for a set period of time, the other race will act as custodians of the planet and do their best to raise their crops and to live on the planet and make use of its resources. And then periodically they will trade So then they will enter into shelters or orbital habitats or
Okay.
something, and then the next one in the cycle will get to come back down to the planet and settle it again and begin harvesting the resources, and they will
Interesting.
switch out.
So they take turns.
Yep, they take turns using the planet.
Interesting. I believe it's your turn now.
Ever since you said they had to go back in their shelters, I've been thinking of this.
Okay, so the focus is on sort of the drought.
Yeah, the focus is on how, how they what they wind up doing and how they deal with the fact that this planet is dying out, and what that anything that is driven by that. So it could be advances in technology, anything that is driven by this resource drought.
Interesting. The planet's on a timeshare.
Pretty much.
Also, no one stated that the moon was the only moon for this planet. That's true.
No,
Like
we
you
said the moon is in the atmosphere. We did not say that there couldn't be more than one.
Yeah, we put it down as moon in atmosphere, not the moon, just a moon.
Yep.
Okay. All right then.
What'd you think, Keith? What part of history?
Apparently, I have derailed whatever thoughts he had going
yeah,
on.
he kinda.
I apparently took whatever he was thinking and threw it right out the window.
That's the fun of the game. What did you do?
Apparently, I really screwed him up.
I would specify that it was the moths that the 75% was used to.
Oh, hey Chipper. Welcome to the party.
Hey, Chipper.
Hey, Chipper. after the tripart pact is signed, the lizards are the first to take control of Lunabase, where the moths had been for so long. Humanity has to reconstruct, reconstitute, recondition their old space ships to use as stations in orbit.
Mm-hmm. And that's a bad thing?
If you're humanity, yes.
Oh, true.
I mean, we did say that mankind enters shelter is a bad thing, so I think we are kind of viewing this from the point of view of mankind.
Yeah.
Yep, that's kind of my thought.
Because, yeah, like, invaders are spotted as a bad thing, but if you're the invaders...
So, Chipper, we clearly there are only 3 of us around the table tonight.
Hi.
Hi there.
It's just us.
It's just us for tonight.
We had some things happen. Long story, we'll fill you in. But we are going through, Lance and Braden and I are going through a game called Microscope. And it is collaborative history building, where we are going around taking it in turns to add things to a history that can be then used as background for a story of building a world, that things along that lines. I was introduced to it by Matt Colville, and it pairs with another game by the same author that has a much more narrow focus, and when you put the 2 things together, you can generate a world and a city that you can play in, which is actually kind of a neat idea. So we're going through that. We are building this world, and it's all about it's all about a far distant future, I guess. Mankind is on a different world, and
It's a very far distant future.
it's
Or past.
or past.
Or past.
Who knows? But it's we're sort of filling in the blanks of history.
And it's my turn. I will pose a question.
Oh, dear.
For a scene.
Why, thank you, Chipper.
Well, you say that. You didn't see that I stumped Keith really bad
Yeah,
when I
that's
added my
true.
part.
That's true. He did. He really did. Good grief. The very first thing in my list on Dropbox.
What is it?
Animal Crossing turnips. It's
Okay.
an important thing.
Yes, it is.
I shall pose the question: how long must each race stay on the surface for? So this is a scene.
Ah.
Okay.
So, I suppose, as you have always been doing, Keith, you shall be the human delegation.
Okay.
Lance can be the lizard delegation.
And you get to decide what our third party is.
It will be the planetarians. They are a plant-based species.
Ooh.
So,
Walking ferns.
walking ferns.
I am Groot.
Yes. So I believe you get to start with the first thought, Keith.
And what is the question?
How long must each race stay on their surface for as they are rotating?
It only makes, so the thought is, it only makes sense for each of us to have a full year so we can have all of the seasons. Otherwise, if we try to split up the year, someone's always going to be down here in winter.
True. You have the next thought, Lance?
The average life cycle of our preferred grain is 5 years.
So your thought? Okay. I suppose the plantoids are probably like, is this a good idea? And now the scene opens once again in a little bit more of a shattered amphitheater, the same one that happened when the discussion about the destruction of the tower happened. Once again, comes down.
This is a really old amphitheater.
There's a section.
How long this thing has been here?
I imagine at this point in the history, it's looking a lot like the Roman Colosseum's looking, like sturdily built, but time has not looked quite well.
Yeah.
As the faction of humanoids, the faction of lizards, and the faction of plantiloids have gathered.
The
Plantiloids.
Plantiloids have gathered to discuss.
Could have been worse. Could have been plantaloons.
That's what I was just thinking.
As they begin to discuss. I assume the plantiloids won't be going first in the discussion, so I will leave the floor open to everyone.
I think we can all agree that trying to split the orbit, the solar orbit, is not a good idea. It will wind up. There will always be a portion of the year where it is not possible to raise food, not possible to eat, to raise the crops that we'll all be counting on.
The Saracen Republic agrees with you.
So,
Yep.
so I propose that whatever length of time, whatever period we agree on, it be a whole orbital rotation, a whole year, let us say, to use the human word.
The garden agrees that we should do this, but is a year maybe perhaps too short?
At most growing seasons, my understanding would be less than a year, so I can't imagine why a year would need to be. I can't imagine why any particular cycle would need to be longer than a year.
We believe that a year would be too short of a time to gather the necessary resources to return from orbit. We propose 1 decade.
Oof. Oh.
Or a generation for you individuals. I don't know what a generation for you species are.
Well,
We are opposed to this idea. We would have our children know the taste of the sun and the wind.
as would we, and yes, that
So every 10 years we switch. So 10 years on the surface and 20 in the atmosphere or rotation.
This is our proposal.
Allowing
20 years is an awfully long time in the black.
and also 20 years average for one person. For the average, they would only spend 20 of their years on the surface on average.
But 1 year is a short time in the sun.
It is.
Then perhaps 5?
Perhaps 5. We could be good with 5, I think.
This is agreeable to us.
Okay. Then it is agreed upon.
5 years in the sun, 10 in the black.
Agreed.
Yes. I think we can solve that.
And scene. Very good. So, 5 years on surface. And 10 years in orbit. Okay. And I say this is a good thing. So, I will put that here. There we go.
Okay, my turn.
Yes. You can put it anywhere.
Hand me an event card.
There you go. This is a really fun game, though.
It is really, really interesting. To be fair, this is only our second time playing it, and I'm not 100% sure that we've quite got it
No.
down yet. But
No,
this works well. What we're doing works well enough. Oh, Chipper with the snack puns. I love it. I do love it, DD. Well, we're trying very hard not to go the D&D meme mashup, so
Alright, what do you got for us, Lance?
Okay. So, during the resource drought, in an effort to avoid the problems that they were having, 3 crops were selected that grew the best on the planet, and each species is genetically modified to subsist off of only that crop.
Like only those 3 crops, or
No, so
one-
each race gets one that is the thing that they have been modified to subsist off of the most.
watermelon. We just soak in all of the water. That's what sustains us.
okay.
Potatoes.
So now it's Braden's turn to choose a legacy.
A legacy. Okay. And it's a question, right?
It
Or
is,
is it-
you choose something that happened in the last round that you want to learn or investigate more, and then you get to make either a directed scene or a dictated scene or an event detailing it.
Okay.
So DD, that is exactly what this game is, or that's exactly how I came across this game. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Matt Colville or not. If you are, great. If not, he's got some awesome stuff
Okay.
on YouTube about how to run D&D, and one of his episodes was about this game and about how he uses it to do exactly what you say, create worlds with it.
Okay. So, as I created them, thus I must
End them.
end them. What happened to the moths?
I really hope it's that they unplugged their moon spaceship and flew away.
Well,
Actually,
so keep in mind though that the lizard people took over the Luna base first.
true.
True.
So presumably it's still around.
Okay. So,
You think it detaches from the tower?
Maybe.
so, here's what happens.
See what had happened was
See, what happened was, by the time the garden or the plantaloids had finally have arrived, the moths have collected enough energy from the planet to power their winged ship of space travel to then have enough energy, because faster than light, it doesn't exist. So they have to go the slow route. So they've been collecting energy from the planet and able to, in order to have enough energy just to get anywhere. So, one day, unwrapping from the moon a huge not spectral, but a huge moth detaches from the moon and begins just with solar wings flying away with what is left of the moth population.
The birth of Mothra.
Yes.
They were playing the long con this whole time.
So that is what happened.
Huh. You don't see that every day.
I bet there's we knew it was weaponized.
We were right all along.
Yeah, you were just wrong about the humans.
We should have been looking at those damn cute moths.
Yes, there is now a giant moth-shaped crater on the moon.
So,
And it comes all the way back around to me as the
Alright, so
as the lens.
where did that go? Somewhere around there?
put it wherever you want, wherever that event fits into the timeline.
I would probably go right there. They would have
Okay.
probably left before all of that nonsense happened.
Yep, that makes sense.
You gonna be the final round?
Yeah, I think
We're
good
gonna
call.
this probably should be the final round
We're
here.
almost getting to 9.
It is almost 9 o'clock,
So where do you want to explore? We've got mankind leaving the shelter and the dogfight wars, as well as what happened there. Or we've got
We also have nothing on the third party plant and people arriving, or humanity heading back into the
I
shelter.
assume that kind of went along with that, but
yeah.
the moths have gone to play Amophis. What part of history do you want to look at, Keith?
So the focus for this round is going to be the last human shelter.
Okay.
It is to that end, we will do. I will create the event. So this event is going to be the sealing of the final human shelter.
Okay. And is this a good or bad thing?
No, this is actually it's kind of a good thing.
Do I need to put good or bad for this question?
Oh, yep.
It's up bad.
So if you'll set that over there during that final period.
The seal off of the final human shelter.
And I actually want to do
Another one.
because I am the lens, I can do this. I'm going to do a scene nested underneath that.
Okay.
And the question is,
Where do we go from here?
so the question is, what leads to there only being one human shelter left?
Okay.
I don't want there to be any representatives from the alien races.
So this is a human only.
This is a human only thing. I would like for there to be perhaps one of the ruling council, the humanity ruling council,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not required.
Right.
I will require that there be the guy whose job it is to seal the hatch.
Ooh, I got that. I have a great idea.
All right. So that the required person is available or has been taken. So you can add to that or not.
I will, shall we say, enter the scene should I feel right about it.
Who will you
What's
be
your character?
playing?
That's a good question. I'll play one of the diplomats, one of the
Okay.
council members.
All right. And I'll
Oh, is this at the beginning of history?
no.
That's just where he said it because he has
Oh,
to fill out
okay.
some more stuff. It'll go in the.
Yeah, I
That'll
just
go right
wanted
here.
it
Okay,
to be
okay.
visible to the camera there.
Gotcha.
And that was really the only place I could put that. I will be one of the final survivors of one of the other shelters
Okay.
coming in. And it's a rescue, sort of a rescue/recovery operation.
Right.
We're in orbit. We haven't been on the planet in almost a decade,
Mm-hmm.
per the treaty.
Right.
Although looking out the portholes down at the planet, there's not a lot of green down there anymore, and
Boy.
the telescopes and everything have been telling us for years that we may not get another shot at this planet.
Okay.
And so the next to last shelter has failed. All of its life support has,
Mm-hmm.
well, it hasn't failed, but it's failing, and it has to offload some of its survivors onto one final station. And so I'm coming aboard, streaked with dirt and soot and emaciated and dehydrated, and coming aboard.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bless you.
Of course.
We've heard rumors that there may be a plan afoot to leave this place. Do you know anything of that?
Well, I can probably answer that. Colin, I'm the one of the council members that are still left.
what, is there any truth to this?
Well, seeing as most of the planet's dying, probably. Do we know who was supposed to be taking over the planet at this time?
Yeah, you would know that. And supposedly humanity's turn is next.
Right. No one's heard from the plantoids. Not in a couple of years. Not since the browning started happening.
Do we know, so we don't know what happened to them?
As far as I'm aware, and as far as I've talked to the Synrenthic Empire,
Okay, sure. Call them whatever you want.
the
Names drift.
not since the the browning.
The Browning.
We've talked a bit to the lizard, the lizard folk of the moon, but no one's heard from the plantoids in like 3 years. It's about the time that the browning happened.
So this place is dead.
Probably.
Is there any hope?
Well, we've done our best to try and turn this place into a viable living space. We've got recycling water, plots of land that we can grow our crops on. Thanks to the genetic materials, we don't need a whole lot of variety in our diet, but at least we'll have one crop that can be easily made. Oxygen and overpopulation will be our problem for the next who knows how long until we can get maybe to another planet.
Don't worry, though. There's always hope to be found from resting on the dead. And as you guys are talking, I'm going to reach out and touch the walls, and the hatch will begin growing, and the walls grow over and seal.
I see the crossbreeding has gone well. And see.
Sure, that works.
The crossbreeding.
Alright.
I was already going to add an event that when I get around to it, you'll see. I had a great idea.
Alright, so family life support, kind of led.
He's a plantoid spy. Don't trust him.
Yeah, but it's the lizards you gotta watch out for. They're the ones that blew up the tower in the first place. The browning.
The browning.
Okay. It's dark days for humanity.
I mean, I assumed if the council's just like, maybe we can turn this into a spaceship and just like
Fly away.
fly away.
Yeah.
But it could be a fool's errand. But
All right, Braden.
that was
And so that's an event. So it would fall under that.
Right.
Yeah. Or a scene rather.
right.
Under the event.
I'm gonna do another one. I'm gonna do another scene, but I'm gonna do it from the lizard's perspective. So,
okay.
how does the browning affect the lizards?
Okay.
So, I don't necessarily think that we need to have. We can all just be like lizardmen council members, or however their hierarchy works.
Okay.
Just discussing how this is affecting the lizard folk, because I feel like this is a good, as we're getting to the end game, I feel like this is a good question to ask.
Yep.
So I will begin. Well, reports came in, another 100 miles of browned since last month.
And there are no words from the plant people on the planet.
Not that we've been able to communicate with.
Perhaps they are extinct.
That is a possibility, but what happened to them?
Well, the entire planet is browning. Perhaps they too have simply dried up and blown away.
Damn moths.
I have had news from the labs that we left on the planet.
Wow, what news?
They have been successful in stealing the genetic modification technology, and we believe we may be able to use it to adapt ourselves to the changing climate. As per our orders, they have yet to leave the northern pole.
Excellent. Would they allow us to hunt once more, as our ancestors once did?
Of course.
Excellent.
Yes. Yes. Good. Good. Finally, the planet will finally be ours. 500 years we've been planning this. All coming to fruition. Finally, the lizards will finally take over this new planet.
And that was how the dinosaurs came to be.
And sing. Okay, so the lizards are adapting.
Keith, will you hand me an event card?
And I'm gonna put that as a good thing because the lizards, I feel that is a good thing for the lizard folk, as we've seen that over 500 years of planning. Yes. Our ancestors would be proud.
Next thing you know, dinosaurs.
Yep.
The TV show.
Oh goodness, no.
Which, by the way, is on Disney Plus now.
Yep.
Jeez. I was gonna say, did Disney do it? No.
No.
No. Alright, what do you got?
All right. So this event, go when the. I'm assuming in my mind it's right at the end, but
Okay, so does that have what
Does it have...
does it have to do with the focus?
yes,
Okay.
you'll see. You'll
Okay.
see. So, back before the moths left, shortly before,
Okay.
they sent some of their eldest, the keepers of knowledge from the catacombs, to the humans, their the closest allies ever since they arrived, and they taught the humans the secrets to forming organic matter out of your dead. And they taught the first human bone shapers.
Okay.
And that is the technology that the humans will use to build a new ship and sail it across the stars to find a new
Okay.
home.
Interesting.
All right. All right.
So that was what I was. That's why I was like, oh, I want to be the guy who seals it because I've got a great idea. The last shelter is built from the remains of humans.
Okay.
And it will be continued to be built on the remains of humans to stop
It will
overpopulation.
Continue.
I just imagine the moths.
Continuously
I just
getting
imagine.
bigger and bigger.
I just
across
imagine the moths being like, my dear friends, we're about to leave this planet. Here is a gift that we shall bestow upon you as we leave.
Yep, that's exactly how I see it going
That
down.
sort of comes full circle.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Keith, you've got the last one.
I
to
do
write
have
down.
the last one to deal with the idea of the last human settlement.
Bless you.
Excuse me. And it is what you would expect it to be.
Surprised we gave it a happy ending.
No.
Well, as happy as one.
It's
can
a
be.
bittersweet
It's
ending.
What an interesting timeline. What a very interesting timeline. And it's also interesting that we don't know how long it had been from here to here.
Yeah, when you first said that you were the survivor from the last shelter, I thought you meant from all the way back here. I was like, holy crap, this is happening within one generation?
I've been in a cryostasis for thousands of years. No one thought to open the box. It is Fallout. Also, I love how moth people went so far, and the 75% of them died to fix the tower just so they could finish powering their moth spaceship.
So this is kind of dark.
So what do we got?
So built on the remains of the dead, the last human shelter sets off across the interstellar gulf to find a new planet to call home.
Okay.
Nice.
So we just turned it into Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Yes!
And I believe there is one last legacy to be placed on the
Oh,
board.
jeez.
One last legacy.
Oh, no.
One last and final mystery that shall never be solved. What's that pyramid question mark placed down? Don't put that.
I got it. I got it. So my question is, what happened to the plant people?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
So,
Ooh.
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
Chipper, you guys,
Mhm.
if you guys are going to be that close and you don't show up,
We'll be
we
offended.
will be highly offended.
I'm indifferent.
Yeah, don't mind him. He's just like that,
So, the plant people,
right?
they also had a master plan
Oh, what was
for how to ensure the survival of their race.
What was their
Because they
master-
know something that nobody else on this
And this
planet
is- And this
knows.
is the dictated one, right?
Yep.
Ah.
They know that the inside of this planet is hollow. And
no
they-
one checked.
They
No
spent
one checked.
they spent years when they were on the planet digging their roots down deep enough that they could start growing on the inside of the planet.
Love it.
And that is what the browning is. It is them sucking all the nutrients from the surface as they build their utopia on the inside of the planet.
Because the moths are just like, we don't need to dig or anything. We just need to suck all of the energy, photosynthesize everything to the moon to charge our battery. The lizards are just like, eh. And humans, well, they probably dug a little, but not that. We didn't dig deep enough. Where does that fit in the timeline?
This is gonna fit
Right there?
Yep.
That's fantastic.
Oh, and I should probably mark it. We'll say that's
It's a good thing.
I mean, it's a good thing for them.
for them.
For them.
Kind of sucks if you're the lizards, but
But nobody likes those guys.
Yeah, but the lizards
Yep.
will be living above ground.
and there we go.
Well,
That's what this is.
Okay, so that is life and death of a planet, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know if I'd call it life.
Okay.
There's
Yeah,
some
you-
stuff to
yeah,
fill
yeah,
in here,
yeah,
but
we don't even know what happened when the moths got there.
that is the birth and departure of a civilization.
It is.
Several civilizations.
Yeah.
So do we want to start at the beginning of the timeline and go from there?
I wouldn't even know where to start.
Here, I got this. So,
Okay.
the beginning of our history, mankind sets out in generational ships to colonize a new planet. After several generations, because there is no faster than light travel in this world, they arrive at their new home. Their ship enters the orbit, and the first settlers are sent down. It is a pristine and wonderful planet. It is similar to the stories they have heard of home, save that the sky is purple. Upon landing, shortly thereafter, they find evidence of a race of Mothmen who live on this planet that are intelligent enough to make tools. They begin to meet with them and do their best to make friends with them, and eventually the Moths show them the moon tower that their ancestors built. Then the humans, as they have built up their infrastructure and have begun to settle, notice signals coming from space that indicate another spaceship of unknown origin will soon be arriving on the planet.
We are the lizard men.
So they plan and build shelters to hide from these invaders. After the invaders have arrived, after an unknown period of times, they emerge and engage in a lengthy war with the lizard people who have come to inhabit the planet, in the process of which the moon tower is damaged and is eventually destroyed as the moon begins to move closer to the surface and gravity on the planet becomes much heavier. During this crisis, it is discovered from the moon people's from the moth people's catacombs that the moon tower is organic and built of the remains of dead moth people, and secretly, the moon is a staging area for their intergalactic moth ship, and they are siphoning energy away to leave this planet. During this time, as gravity increases, the planet is covered in 80% in ocean, and much of the land is made uninhabitable, but the moon tower is able to be fixed, and the gravity situation is stabilized. Afterwards, a third group of aliens arrive on the planet in their what do you call it? What's the name for the dandelions with the seeds and they've got the little. Anyway, in the dandelion seed with a little umbrella ships arrive and land on the planet as the plant people begin reseeding this planet. At the same time, the moths come close to finishing their project and are able to fly away.
75%.
Yes, but they did lose 75% of their population to repair the moon tower. The moths share a final secret with their human friends and teach them how to make organic matter out of their dead race. They then depart as a resource drought begins on the planet and less land is able to support life. So the three remaining races make an agreement that they will each share the planet. Each one will get to live 5 years on the planet, 10 years in orbital habitats. And to help sort of mitigate this, each race is genetically modified to only eat one crop.
Mm-hmm.
So the lizards are the first ones that get to remain on the planet, while the other two races have to head up into orbit. And as this cycle goes on for a little while, the planet continues to die out. And the humans plan on taking their organic spaceship and flying away to find a new home. The lizards have stolen genetic engineering technology and plan to adapt themselves to live on the dying surface. And the plant people, unbeknownst to anyone else, are living inside the hollow earth.
Yep. That's
That is what we just spent
That is what we did.
3 hours doing.
That
coming
is
up with
awesome.
that story.
That is awesome.
Oh boy.
Oh, well, once again, this was not D&D. This is, and if you think it is, sorry.
I don't know. It's not that it doesn't seem that far off from some D&D games. I've
Yeah,
played.
it's not
True.
It's not that far off. This is a game called Microscope. We found it online from, or I was introduced to it by listening to Matt Colville. There is another game in this similar vein called Kingdom that sort of goes along with it. And per Matt, the two of them put together make a pretty good world/town building, environment building for a campaign. This is only my second time playing it. I don't know that we've got it quite exactly right, but this is sort of what we came up with. Had a lot of fun doing it. Went places wasn't expecting, which is always cool. It's always really fun to sort of see this kind of thing grow organically. The really interesting thing is this is a world that we could theoretically build into an actual campaign, and I'd be okay with that. If you want to go find it, I don't need. It's
so there. You
It's
can get it
on-
a lot of different places. It looks like his storefront is called Lame Mage Productions, and he's got
So-
links there for where you can get it.
Yeah, so Lame Mage Productions, if you do a search for that and Microscope, you should be able to find it. There are a couple of other things on the website, if I recall correctly, to look at and look into. But it's a lot of fun, especially if you've got a creative bent and have friends that are creative as well. That is all I think we have for you guys tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Watching you guys add to it was really, really, really cool. Thanks, DD, for showing up. And yeah, if you want to go ahead and put that link in the chat, you can do that. Awesome, very cool, thank you. And so go check that out. I know it's self-published, so absolutely go out and support the guy. They're not super expensive, neither
No.
one of them. I think they're both less than $20, less than 10
Yeah.
even. So go check him out, support him. He's got a lot of other interesting stuff on there. Follow is new.
Anyway.
Anyway, keep going while I read
Okay.
what this is.
So there's some interesting stuff there on the website to check it out. Follow is new, and I'm gonna have to look at that because it looks interesting. But we are all about supporting the small creators and the small makers because at the end of the day, that's kind of what we are. So go check him out. Give him some love. We do put all of our video content on YouTube. Apparently, I'm more behind than I thought I was. I thought I had managed to catch up, and no. So I've got some things to fix, but we do aim to have all the content on our YouTube channel. So do go check that out. No, that's a random quote. That is not what I was looking for. I was looking for
You put it on the chair.
YouTube. There we go. Yes, I did.
Nice.
Yep. Here.
Hi.
That's Braden. This is me. Here we
There
go.
you go.
So do go check out YouTube. We do also run our Discord server, so you guys can interact with us. The big thing I use it for is mainly giving you guys heads up about changes to the schedule. This week's was sort of last minute, so didn't get an announcement up to let you guys know that we would not be doing the D&D thing as per regular. Sorry about that, but I hope you enjoyed what we did nonetheless. That being said, hopefully we will be back to our regular schedule next week. So if everything goes well, we will have everyone back around the table and continue the adventures in the Valley campaign. So do be sure that you join us. We will be here live Monday night, 6 o'clock Mountain Time. And I'll leave it up to you to determine when that is where you live. Between now and then, thank you guys so much for joining us and supporting us. And remember,
Grab
Grab your bats and grab your balls.
took him a minute. And if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a glass house. Good night, everybody.
Right.